Welcome back to Robot Wars and a heat that looks to be a pretty good performance with the list of machines that are about to take part. So let's cut the chit-chat and check out the Battleboard. 4 newcomers and 5 vets, with P1 coming in as seed number 26, taking on the newcomers Black Widow and the super heavyweight machine, the Judge, who is a very well-experienced machine. We also have Bronco from Battlebots taking on other Battlebots competitor and vets Bite Force, as well as other vets Male Zero, we've seen them before with Stampede. But here is the first fight with Choking Hazard, seeded number 10, did brilliantly in the last wars against fellow vets Aegis and the newcomers Corrector. Choking Hazard, Lifter. They were one of the newcomers in the last wars to make the semis and did extremely well before crashing out to Angry by sliding into the pit. The lifting weapon was extremely effective and can help them right themselves. Of course, the exposed wheels are a worry, but the major problem for them is their speed. Corrector, Axe Bot. A sloped wedge design with a 0-degree ground clearance armed with a spiked axe to pierce the armament with 2 rear spikes to deal extra damage. They claim that the axe has the power to help right the machine, but have also stated that the axe has actually flung off before when they fired it in testing, and aren't 100% certain they've fixed that issue. Aegis Flipper. They didn't have the greatest of runs in the last war. Surprised they came back, honestly. The Kevlar 29 armor makes it immune to fire, and the Flipper is, in all honesty, fairly decent, but it doesn't have the greatest height, and the armor isn't all that tough.
Robot ears, stand by.
Choking Hazard with the lifting arm and the projectile. Didn't get to see that in the last wars. Corrector, the very well sloped machine with the spiked axe. Looks very menacing, by the way. And Aegis with the Kevlar 29 armor and the CO2 powered Flipper.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Again, amazed to see them back. Don't ask why Corrector wasn't where they were supposed to be. They just were. Choking Hazard already in trouble, being ganged up by Aegis to get up the first flipping, and then being axed by Corrector, who is now flipped by Aegis up and over. And again, Corrector using their axe to try and get off or do some damage to no real avail, and are now thrown over. And now it's Aegis' turn to get flipped up and over. And now Corrector, going by its name and correcting that mistake, and we're now flipped by Choking Hazard. Hey! Well, they've self-righted. That's quite some power in their axe to throw themselves into the air in order to self-right. I don't think I've ever seen an axe do that type of, well, self-righting before, really. The pit goes down, courtesy of Corrector. We didn't get to see that thanks to the replay, but Aegis on the attack on Choking Hazard. Choking Hazard ramping up the side of Corrector, who now flipped over. Aegis underneath Corrector to try and flip them if they can, and now Choking Hazard once again underneath Aegis and throws them over. But Aegis, as we know, it has a CO2 flipper and it has the power to self-right like that. Corrector. The one issue with that axe is it does give them a ground clearance when they fire, which means if they miss it, it could spell doom and gloom for them. Corrector stuck on top of Aegis, Choking Hazard underneath Aegis to flip them over to no avail. Corrector still trying to get their axe through Aegis. Choking Hazard again trying to flip them up and over. Aegis tries flipping Choking Hazard to no success, and again no success in flipping Aegis up and over. It's all here. They're all on each other. It's what you expect from a three-way rumble. Who's more on top, though, I wonder? Corrector firing their axe effortlessly, really. Choking Hazard, their drive is impeccable. Aegis trying to flip over Corrector and does so. Struggled though. I'm wondering if the CO2 is starting to run out or if it has already. Up and over again by Choking Hazard, who is now pushing away at Aegis and Corrector. So that's impressive. And you can see there that Aegis cannot self-right. They're out of CO2. And Corrector now to fire their axe on the underbelly of Aegis that's now exposed. Is that... Well, I was about to ask, is that wise? I'd say yes it is. And Corrector seems a bit slow. Meanwhile, Choking Hazard about to throw Aegis down the pit of oblivion. So that's Aegis gone, and now for Choking Hazard to deal with Corrector. The axe working. Is the drive though, I wonder? Because there's no drive, and Choking Hazard now effortlessly pushing Corrector into the wall, and I'm wondering if there's a problem with Corrector. They've not really suffered any damage. I'm wondering if it's battery related. Because there's no movement. They're stuck against the angle grinder. They haven't been trying to move their axe may work, yes, but I'm wondering if the motors to the wheels have burnt out. As the batteries to that's gone. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm starting to think it may be true as Choking Hazard, the 10th seeds, continue pushing away at Corrector. Trying to get underneath them to no real success. All around Corrector, it's a 0-degree ground clearance until they fire their weapon, to which Choking Hazard can do that and throw them away, almost at them in the pit there. But now to truly drop them down it. This will be the end for Corrector. They're through to the Silver Rumble, and it's Choking Hazard going through to the gold and not. Oh dear, Choking Hazard in the pit. Well, it makes no difference really. Corrector counted out and immobilized long ago. Choking Hazard, they're through to the gold rumble. Everyone's in the pit. How lovely, what a great way to end the heat. Anyways, next up, Bronco, Malzuri, and Bite Force. Bronco Flipper. A long machine with a very powerful flipper. It's actually had rather good success in Battleboard, so expect some good fights from them going forward. As I stated, the flipper is extremely powerful, meaning it'll send machines flying into the air, but there's a limited gas supply, and the exposed wheels are extremely vulnerable. Malzuri Spinner. Okay, I have no clue what the hell Doodle Beasts are, I'm not gonna deny that. I first saw this thing and thought Malzuri was a Pokemon. The front spinning blade will help tear into the opposition, and the rear tail will help right them when overturned, and they say that their only weakness is an eraser. Really? Well, if you will make a machine out of pastel and crayons, I can actually see that. Bite Force Spinner. They looked effective last time, too bad we never really got to see its potential before it crashed out into death or glory. They've rebuilt the machine to make it more effective and quicker, as well as making sure it can't get stuck on its sides, which they encountered against Earthquake. They've also added more weight, but the exposed wheels are still an issue.
Roboteers, stand by.
Bronco, the American machine with the CO2-powered flipper, extremely powerful. Malzuri, maybe a new machine, but the team has experience with Stampede in the last 2 wars, now with the rear stream-mech and the spinning flywheel. And Bite Force seems more improved than last year. Will that be
3,
evident
2,
in this fight, I wonder?
1.
Well, let's see. Bite Force coming in on the attack on Malzuri, as Malzuri does the same thing to Bite Force, and I'll flip out the arena immediately, so that's a nope, and now Malzuri, woohoo, nearly flipped out the arena there to join Bite Force. Broncos flipped themselves up and over, and flipped themselves out. I love that, I love it when flippers do that. Look at this. This is the attack on Maozuri. Almost had them out. I don't know how Maozuri survived. Then Bronco mistimed the flip, got themselves away, actually released the pit while doing that, and then threw themselves out. And that's the end of Bronco. I just saw they've lost a tire as well. They lost a wheel. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that is self-evident, I think. I don't know what that was. Just pure chaos, I think, truth be told, because of Bronco. Anyway, next up, P1 Black Widow and the Judge. P1 Lifter. Back again after a not great run of the last wars, they just came to a sudden halt in the Silver Rumble. The front wedge is still effective and the lifting arm is still capable of self-righting and throwing machines over the wall, but the exposed wheels are still a problem and it is easily flippable. And I'm wondering if it is still as strong a competitor as it was when they first started. Black Widow Spinner. The most deadliest spider in existence, as one bite is enough to kill. The spinning drum eyes are the key weapon to slash and mangle anyone who comes into contact with it. But there's no self-righting mechanism, meaning that if the spider gets overturned, it won't be able to wiggle itself back. The Judge. Axebot. They claim to be the toughest super heavyweight in the competition. Well, it has been tough in past events, and not so in others. The big lethal X will perforate any machine it comes into contact with, and it'll also help the machine self-right when overturned. The armor is also very strong, so bladed attacks will deflect off it. In fact, they even claim that there's no weakness for them in this competition. Give it a few minutes, we'll find it.
Robot ears, stand by.
The 26 seeds P1 with the front hinge flipping arm, are they still as effective as we first saw them back in Series 1? Black Widow, the spinning blade drum at the front with the eyes, and the Judge, the super heavyweight machine with the lethal axe. This is an old BattleBots affair.
2, 1, activate.
Not very often we get an old BattleBots affair, but here we have one. And already, P1's lost 2 of the tires, courtesy of Black Widow. And there is the Judge stuck on Black Widow. Is something wrong with Black Widow now? I'm wondering. The Judge comes in to investigate. I like how P1 is using their flipping arm to help get them some form of purchase. Oh! The Judge has flipped themselves, I think. They're up and over. Now the Judge does have the power to self-right. What happened to Black Widow? Why have they suddenly stopped? There's something wrong with Black Widow. The wheels aren't moving. The weaponry turned the lights are on, but nobody's home. Caesar scored. Well, that's probably as quick, actually a little bit longer than the last fight, but it's still very quick. And I'm being relayed a message from the judges saying P1 immobilized first, then Black Widow. So Black Widow's into the Silver Rumble, and it's P1 who falls into the bronze. How about that? What a shocking turn of events. P1 into the bronze, Black Widow into the silver, and it's the Judge, the super heavyweight machine, into the gold. And here are how our 3 Rumbles look. The Judge will be joining the surprise package of Maozuri, as well as the 10th seeds Choking Hazard in the Gold Rumble. The Silver Rumble has Black Widow joining the unfortunate CO2 flipper of Bronco, as well as the spiked axe of Corrector. But the Bronze Rumble consists of 26 seeds P1 against Bite Force and Aegis. The Bronze Rumble, and all BattleBots affair.
Robot ears, stand by.
Here we go, the Bronze Rumble with Aegis, the CO2 flipper, Bite Force, the spinning blade, and 26 seeds P1 crashed out very early, surprisingly. Another all BattleBots affair, this battle.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Not only that, but these three are actually from the new modern day BattleBots. Anyway, there's P1 throwing Bite Force over and releasing the pit with Aegis on it, and nearly send Aegis down the pit there. P1 flipped. You can see they've lost a tire, courtesy of the blade of Bite Force, who are up and over, and they don't seem to be able to move. I thought they could drive both ways up. I guess not. Flipped and back on the wheels now. P1 trying to keep their dominance. Not doing very well, and now I'm wondering if something's gone wrong with P1. Bite Force flipped again by Aegis. Is Bite Force okay? I don't think P1 is. Aegis comes in to investigate, flips them up and over, and I think we might be seeing the end for P1. They've self-rated again to no real success, I don't think. Flipped again. That's the only good thing about P1, really. It's the power of their weapon. It's a very strong weapon, but it won't do you any good there, out the arena. And that's P1 crashing out. And now, for Aegis to deal with Bite Force, who doesn't seem fully there. Flipped again. And they don't seem to be able to drive upside down. They said they could. I think there's a little design flaw. And Aegis about to throw them down the pit, or flip them, I guess in this case. Down they go. That's the end of Bite Force. And Aegis putting up a better performance this series than they did in the last wars, as they snag a spot in the Death or Glory as we say goodbye to both Bite Force and P1. Again, commiserations to Bite Force and P1 as they crash out at this early stage. Well done to Aegis as they progress through. And now for the Silver Rumble with Corrector, Bronco, and Black Widow.
Robot ears, stand by.
Silver Rumble. Corrector with the spiked axe and the low body. Bronco with the CO2 flipper. Surprised they're actually here, to be honest. And Black Widow with the spinning eye drum. Have they fixed what caused problems for them in the fast
3,
fight?
2, 1. Activate.
Again, Corrector not starting where they're supposed to, but it's still a spot. And look at that! Flipped through the air goes Black Widow, courtesy of the flipper of Bronco. And now, Corrector causing problems for Bronco, keeping them stuck against the wall. Black Widow, is there a problem? Well, there we go! Has happened again. Flipped out the arena goes Bronco, courtesy of Corrector, actually. They're the reason that they went flying out the arena. Now they've released the pit, and I think there's a problem with Black Widow. I don't think they've really corrected the problem. And now, oh, that was bold. They reversed to the pit. Oh dear, Black Widow, what were you doing? Well, Corrector's gonna make you wish you didn't do that. Though I think that's where you were gonna end up anyway. Down the pit. And Corrector, nothing else you can do, really. Black Widow isn't coming out. The legs may be holding them up, but it's not enough to get them out. Black Widow's gone. Bronco self-rights out the arena again. Corrector spinning in the lights as they pull it back. And then on through to the Death or Glory. How about that? Bronco out the arena. That's the second time they've flipped themselves out the arena. I thought they were going to do very well in this competition. I guess not. Black Widow reversing into the pit, and it's Corrector going through to the Death or Glory. Next up, the Gold Rumble with 10 seats, Choking Hazard, Male Jury, and the Judge.
Robot ears, stand by.
The Gold Rumble with Choking Hazard, the 10th seat with the lifting arm and the projectile. Male Jury, surprised they're here, only just, with a spinning flywheel in the rear tail. And the Judge, the super heavyweight machine with the low wedge and the lethal spiked axe.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
So, who will be stronger? Well, Malzuri. Well, there goes the judge throwing over Choking Hazard, and Malzuri gets in on the action to cause damage. Choking Hazard corrects that by damaging the judge, and the spiked part of the axe is gone. You can see they're littering the floor as well as one of the judge's tires. So that flywheel of Malzuri quite effective, as it seems to have caused major damage and problems to the judge. And I'm wondering if Malzuri is okay. They don't seem in complete control. The flywheel's now stopped. Their Shremek is down. Is that another tire, or is that the same one? I think might be the same one. Meanwhile, Choking Hazard throws the judge down the pit, so they are gone and out. And oh, hello, and the judge get themselves out the pit, I wonder. Well, we'll see. They're trying desperately. And now has Malzuri come to a halt? I think they may have actually. And now for Choking Hazard to try get underneath, which surprisingly is not easy for Choking Hazard to do. I'd have thought it would have been rather... Well, I guess it might be the little wedge sluts at the front. They might be causing a slight problem. But the back, the easiest spots to get underneath Malzuri as they flip them onto their face. And now flip them up and over. But that self-rating mechanism, despite it being down... yeah, don't make them do a flip and make them roll back on it. Oh. It was like when I was getting helped out in gymnastics. Anyway, Malzuri immobilized. The judge still trying to get out the pit. I don't see why you're not getting out of it. You're very much gone. There's Malzuri now flipped up and over properly by Choking Hazard, and has them against the wall and decides to try and flip them out the arena. Well, can Choking Hazard do to them what they did to Decapitator in the last wars? I'm guessing no. Well, it's not easy to get a machine out the arena with the style weapon Choking Hazard has, although they seem to be giving it a go. But the weapon doesn't seem ideal for doing it, and it makes machines like Malzuri very awkward. The trouble of getting him flipped over. Malzuri rolled over now onto their tail, which doesn't seem to be doing well, anything. Malzuri flipped up, and again on the angle grinder, and can Choking Hazard now almost had him, and now again, they crash back down. They're doing very hard here, Choking Hazard, to flip them up. Look at this. Almost at them, but it's like not enough. Not quite enough. Then they nearly had them there, but their own weapon then dragged them back down on the angle grinder. Another flip threw them up and over once again, and now another flip, and now out the arena, and that's the end of Malzuri. Out the arena they go, flipped up and toppled out the arena, and Choking Hazard, the first machine, into the Heat 12 Heat Final. They definitely struggled getting Malzuri out of the arena, although then again, strange design, and Choking Hazard's weapon isn't exactly properly designed to get machines out of the arena, but great job for pulling it off nonetheless, 10 seeds. But this is our Death or Glory with Aegis, the CO2 flipper from the Bronze Rumble, the Spiked Axe of Corrector from the Silver, and our two fallen Gold Rumble fighters, the Judge and Malzuri.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Death or Glory with Aegis from the Bronze Rumble with the CO2 flipper, Corrector with the Axe from the Silver, and from the Gold Rumble, the super heavyweight machine, the Judge, with their axe, and the flywheel of Melzuri.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Who will come out on top? Well, Melzuri crashing into the angle grinders, not smart. Aegis around the side of the Judge. Corrector drops their axe down on Melzuri. Has that done something to one of the wheels? I am not too sure. The Judge not firing their axe, interestingly enough. Now, flipped over goes the Judge. Down goes the pit, courtesy of Aegis. And now, Aegis flips Corrector as they self-right high into the air. And Melzuri, they're not moving. Corrector tussling with the Judge. Is the Judge going? Well, the Judge keeps ramping up the Corrector, and they're about to end up in the pit and do so. Oh, and have come out. Corrector self-rights and they reverse into the pit. That's brilliant. Here comes Aegis and throws out the Judge. So the Judge out the arena, Corrector in the pit, trying to get themselves out. Meanwhile, Aegis takes on Melzuri. Oh! Corrector's out the pit! Well, up goes their axe. And I think a little bit of the lip of Aegis' flip is gone. Look at this. There's Corrector's axe. Flip, getting them back out. And their axe has a lot of power. Oh, great. They've ended up in the pit again. And they've come out. Yay! And they've gone back in. There's Aegis tussling with Melzuri and Corrector out of the pit again. And it's gone back in. What is going on here? Melzuri, they're flipped out the arena by Aegis, so they're gone now. And I think this is... Well, Corrector's in the pit. Oh no, they're back out. Aegis tussling with them to make sure they don't do it again. But I think this might just be Aegis' fight, honestly. I don't think I've ever seen a machine drive themselves deliberately into the pit just to throw themselves back in. Or maybe it was just poor driving, one of the two. Let's try and get over that and focus on the fight. Aegis trying to get underneath Corrector, but Corrector is 0-degree ground clearance around the whole machine except the backside. That's the only real place you can get underneath them, and Corrector is very, very fast. And it's a lot more nippier and maneuverable than Aegis. But Aegis has a more powerful flipper. Corrector, to try and get their axe in, is, well, they're just darting around each other playing Ringer Ringer Rosie. They're meant to be fighting each other, not playing roundabouts. Aegis once again sloping up the side of Corrector. And now around the back. And Corrector isn't moving. And I think the same thing that's happened to Corrector in the first fight has happened again. The batteries are gone. The motor, no, both the motors are gone. The X may work, but as you saw there, but the wheels are not. The lights may be on, but nobody's home. And Aegis, the last flip, and out goes Corrector. And Aegis now out, throws themselves into the pit, up the seats though. But it's Aegis who goes through to the heat final to join up with the 10th seed's choking hazard. Probably one of the more hectic and confusing Death or Glories you ever had on Robot Wars, with Corrector driving in and out of the pit. The Judge flipped out the arena along with Melzuri. Aegis goes through to the heat final. Well done to Aegis. They've done better than they did in the last wars. And they're now taking on 10th seed's choking hazard. That's quite a feat for them to have to pull off. Are they up for the challenge?
Roboteers, stand by.
The heat final. 10th seed's choking hazard with the lifting arm and the projectile. And Aegis with the CO2 flipper, and have definitely done a lot better this time around than they did back in Series 2. It has to be said.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
So, will Aegis come out on top? Well, they get the first attack in on Choking Hazard and throws them into the air, but they land on their wheels. Choking Hazard now trying to get underneath Aegis. Can they? They're trying. And now, finally, get the flip on Aegis. And again, almost had them up and over. And again, as well. That's the one plus about that weapon of Choking Hazard. It doesn't rely on CO2. So, that's the good part. They have strong drive as well. Can they flip them over? Ow! Ooh, almost. Almost up and over. And I think the best they can do is get Aegis to waste their CO2 so that if they do manage to get Aegis up and over, they won't be able to self-right! And now flip them up and over! But they self-right very quickly. And this has definitely turned into a pretty good cat and mouse game. It has to be said, Aegis against the wall. Again, Choking Hazard. Starting to take dominance in this fight. Down goes the pit. And now Choking Hazard on the back foot again, flipped by Aegis. But now takes charge again, slams him into the wall, trying to flip them over. And again, another attempt. Again, like I said before, getting machines up and over with the weapon Choking Hazard has, it is not that easy. Choking Hazard, flipped. Again, we've experienced that quite a few times this series, with footage having those glitch clips. I don't know why, but regardless, Aegis up and over, Choking Hazard self-right, and now Aegis rights themselves too. And they're on the flames as well. That's probably not the best place. Well, then again, the Kevlar 27 or 9, whatever it was, on Aegis, it's flame-proof. So that's a plus for Aegis. Now Aegis rolls. Choking Hazard over, and I think they're starting to run low on CO2. And look at this! Choking Hazard is on the lifting arm of Choking Hazard. Aegis holding that down, and that's going to cause major problems for Choking Hazard. Can Choking Hazard get away? I think they're trying to. Is Aegis trying to get away, I wonder? I am not really sure, actually. They seem to be pushing them around. And this could prove to be quite the problem. They're back now. They're free, so they can right themselves. Aegis stuck against the angle grinder, not the best place. Choking Hazard. Is something wrong? They're not self-righting. And I think they're being counted out as immobilized. I think they are immobilized as Aegis reverses away because they know they've won. Yeah. Not the best place for the first, guys. Has to be said. Well, Aegis, they may be in the pit, but Choking Hazard, they can't self-right. They've been deemed immobilized. And it's Aegis through to the semi-finals. A very shocking upset for Choking Hazard as their arm ends up being what lets them down. Well done to Aegis for coming up victorious and making the series semi-final. We look forward to seeing how far you go. But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.